I prayed, like with the birth, I prayed for this amazing birth. It didn't happen. It was actually really traumatic. And I really struggled to get my head around that. And I felt like I'd failed. I felt like my faith had failed. I felt like I didn't have enough faith, because the book that I read kind of implied that it was my faith that didn't make it happen. I was just kind of like, oh, it's my fault. I don't have enough faith. And yeah, just that whole struggle of like, what do you do when there's suffering? What do you do when things don't go, when things aren't sunshine and rainbows, when things don't go to plan?
Welcome to What's the Story? My name is Matt Edmondson, and this is a podcast full of stories about faith and courage from everyday people. And today I'm chatting with the legendary Beth Coppenhall about learning how not to overthink things. Oh yes, we are getting into that. But before I get into all things Beth, one thing that I do love to do is give a shout out to past guests and episodes. And given the topics that we are going to be talking about today, about motherhood, glandular fever, all kinds of things, I thought it would be great to mention the live stream we did called Faith and Motherhood. Does it make a difference? That was done on a Mother's Day with Sally Birch. You can check that one out. And also check out the talk by John Harding, Journey Through the Wall. You can find these and our entire archive of episodes and live streams on our website for free at www.crowd.church. And whilst you're there, be sure to sign up for our newsletter. And each week we will email you the links along with the notes from the conversations. They go direct to your inbox, totally free, totally amazing. Now, this episode is brought to you by Crowd Online Church. Beth, I'm sure you know that as well as I do, not everybody can go to church. Not everybody wants to go to church. Not everybody can make it to a church building. And this is where online church works really, really well. It is a safe space to explore the Christian faith. And the thing that I love about Crowd Online Church is that you get to join in and shape the conversation. Oh yes, so if you have never been to church before, or if you're looking for a new church to join, do check out Crowd Church. The website is www.crowd.church. And if you've got any questions, email me directly at matt@crowd.church. I will try my very best to answer them. Oh yes. Now, Beth, what can I say about Beth? I've known Beth for a little while. She is Yorkshire-born, a full-time mama of two. She loves writing, is actually a brilliant writer. She loves marketing, brilliant at marketing, and crafting with the kids. I don't know whether she's brilliant at that, but let's just go with yes. And she blogs regularly at bethcoppenhall.com if you want to read some of Beth's blog posts, which I suggest you do. Beth, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to What's the Story? Great to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm good. Hello.
Yeah, good. Now, this is a little reminiscent, I feel, you and I doing video conversations together.
It's very strange. It's like going back in time, except I've now got two kids.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
I'm just talking about skincare, unless you're questioning this.
Well, you can totally talk about skin. I should probably explain, dear listener and viewer, if you don't know the story of Beth and I, and why would you? Beth and I used to work together before the two kids came along, and Beth was our what was your title? Chief Marketing? I don't actually remember. It was something Queen of Content or something.
Yeah. Well,
Queen. I can't remember.
Queen. It was Queen. It had Queen in the title.
It definitely had the Queen in the title. And Beth used to handle all our marketing and all our content. And so, quite often we would find ourselves just sat together in front of a video camera talking about everything from skincare to e-commerce to whatever crazy idea I had that day. And so, yeah, it's quite nice, Beth. You and I doing video again. It's quite reminiscent. It's quite lovely.
It is.
It is. Oh, no, it's great to be here. So, other than working with me, which is obviously one of the key highlights of life, you've got two beautiful kids and a beautiful husband, and you live here in sunny Liverpool, but your accent is Yorkshire-born, right?
Yes, that's why I put that there, because I thought if anyone's listening and is like, what are you saying? I'm from Yorkshire and I haven't ever left my accent. I'm quite proud of it, actually. But it does get a lot of comments.
Good comments or bad comments?
Oh, a mixture, to be honest. I'm a bit like, excuse me, this is my accent. I can't do anything about it.
This is who I am.
One of my friends, who's like 92, she came round and I was offering her a piece of cake. This was pretty recently. I was like, do you want some cake, Gina? Do you want some cake? And she genuinely didn't know what I was on about for a long time. And then she goes, oh, cake.
It's funny.
The word coaster, as in what you put a hot drink on.
Yeah.
And people looked a bit like...
Bit blank.
To me. Yeah. So if I say any words that you think need a bit of translation for your wider audience, that's fine.
Yeah, I'll try and translate. My father is from your part of the world, from Yorkshire. So I'm used to the accent and I'm used to the language and the lingo. But it was great, actually, when you worked at the office, just having that accent that strong in our office. So be proud of it, Beth. Be proud of it. I would be.
Well, there was also another one there, isn't there? There's still a Yorkshire person in Mark Jackson at the helm.
Well, you were. It's funny, isn't it? How when you two talk, you sort of bring each other's accents out.
Yeah. That is a Yorkshire thing. Like, so when I go back to my mum and dad's, Terry's like, I don't know what you're saying. I've been married for 8 years. We also find people, like Yorkshire people find people that are from Yorkshire. So obviously I'm living in Liverpool, been here for like 12 years, but I will find the Yorkshire people and like they will be my friends.
Just sort of gravitate towards each other.
Yeah, we do. It's a thing. I was telling someone this the other day. I was like, yeah, we just find each other.
Yeah, no, fair play. So you've been in Liverpool 12 years. You came as a student. Mm-hmm. Were you a Christian when you came to Liverpool?
Nope. I wasn't a Christian. So my story starts with, I guess, a praying mum. So my mum became Christian when she was 13, and she's always prayed for me. But she took me to church. She was in part of like a little house church. She took me there quite a lot, but when I was little, but I don't remember going much in high school. When I was at uni, it wasn't even a thing. I wasn't like, I'm going to church when I go to uni. I just wasn't a Christian. Yeah. So it's actually quite cool how I came to Liverpool because I put Newcastle down. I was very I think I still am getting over this. Always want the best grade, always want the top. So I really wanted to go to Newcastle University and they wanted really high grades. And I put Liverpool University as my second choice, which everyone told me not to do. My form tutor was like, why would you do that? They want the same grades. And I was like, but I don't really want to go to anywhere else. So I'm just going to put where I want to go. Why would I put something that I don't want to go just because it's lower grades? Newcastle were like, no, because I didn't quite make it. I got an A and 2 Bs, but my Bs were really good. Yeah. And I think Liverpool, obviously God was in it because in hindsight, he brought me here for a reason. But Liverpool, they had a bit of like, oh yeah, she can come. She got 2 high Bs. We'll let her off. We'll let her off that one. Okay. So yeah, ended up here. It wasn't my first choice. But I loved it. I loved the city. I wanted to be somewhere like Leeds, but different. So I wanted my own independence, but I do quite like being a northerner, and I think northern cities are quite friendly. So I didn't want to be too far from home. So yeah, it ticked all my boxes.
So I can see why you chose Liverpool or Newcastle, because they're sort of equidistant from Leeds, aren't they? And they're both northern towns. And they're actually all quite similar to each other in feel and friendliness, I think. And Newcastle's a great city. Liverpool's a great city. Leeds is a great city. And so, I can see why those choices. But you weren't. So what happened then when you came to uni, if you weren't a Christian when you arrived? So you've got a praying mum. You've not really gone to church. And you've sort of ended up at uni here. What happened?
So not a right lot for the first 2 years. So I was very studious, wanted the best grades, like I said. I also was a big people pleaser. I wanted to be everybody's friend. Again, still something that I'm getting over. So I kind of did all the things that you should do when you're a student. Went to all the lectures, but also I was a bit of a mess because I did all the binge drinking and partying, and just like it's a weird blur of a time, because I think I was pretty anxious, but I didn't realise. Like, I was asking my mum about it the other day, and she was like, if anyone said, "Are you all right?" You just be like, "Yeah, I'm totally fine. I don't need help. I don't need anything." Like, I was just like, "I'm fine. I've got this." But then between second and third year, I decided to go interrailing. So around Europe, you get a train, you get a special train ticket, you're allowed on all the trains around Europe. So that was really cool. But like, I did not expect it to change my life in the way that it changed my life. And I knew when I was there, I was like, something weird is happening. Because I remember seeing a picture on the wall. I can't remember what it said now. It's really going to bug me. But something about, like getting lost and finding yourself, and something reflective like that. And I really was kind of going on this, I guess I thought a lot when I was there, kind of thing. Like, and I came back home and I had a glandular fever from partying too much.
Wow.
But nobody knew that I had glandular fever. So like, people kept saying, it's Fresher's flu. And I was like, I'm not a fresher. I kept going to the doctors. They're like, it's Fresher's flu. I was like, I'm not a fresher. This cough is not going away. I do not feel well. Like, help me. Like, I don't feel well. Please. Like, and then I was in a Shakespeare lecture one day, and a mature student, so someone that's gone to uni older, came up to me and was like, that cough has been, I'm a mature student. I used to be a nurse. That cough has been on my ward. You need to go get it checked out. I was like, I keep getting it checked out, but they keep saying it's like Fresher's flu. She was like, not Fresher's flu. You need to get it checked out. So I think that was the thing that pushed me to get in some more tests. And then eventually I had all these missed calls being like, you're not well. We need to see you.
Wow. Yeah.
I went yellow. I got a bit of jaundice because the type of glandular fever that I had affected my white blood cells, not my red ones. So I had a bit of, like, my liver was not doing so great. Again, probably because I was drinking loads as well. Like, it was a combination of things. But I was a mess, and I felt like, I look back and like, I was like, wow, I was really quite broken. Like, I wanted the best grades. I wanted to please everybody. I was just some sort of, I didn't really care about myself. And then this, like, going into really made me stop a bit, and then having glandular fever made me stop a bit, because I couldn't actually be at uni. I couldn't be in the lectures that I wanted to be in. And so it was really frustrating time, really difficult time. Went back to Leeds. I was really anxious because my goal was to get a really good grade, but then I couldn't get a really good grade because I was just really ill. Like, I had post-viral fatigue. So like, I'd be all right in the house sometimes. Like, I'd be like, oh, I'm all right. But if I go out, I'd just like be so tired and just really wiped out.
Yeah.
I had a job as well at the time in a shop. And that was really difficult in itself, because they gave me sick leave, but then they were like, oh, we shouldn't have given you that. So then I had to work for free. So I was like,
oh, wow.
I had to like work back the hours. Like, so I was like really sick, and all this was going on. It was a bit of a mess. But in the middle of that, my mum took me to a church service. So at the time, God had told her to go to a new church. She used to go to a house church. God had told her to go to a new church because she also had my littlest brother. So there's a 17-year age gap between me and my littlest brother.
Wow.
She was going to church with Benjamin, who was a toddler at the time. And I don't think I've been out of the house in a while. And she just kept taking me to a church. When I look back, I'm like, she just kept taking me to a house group, to a church. Like, and I remember going to a baptism one day, and there was this girl there, and she stood, and she's going to get baptized, and she's like, I love Jesus, I love Jesus, I love Jesus, blah, blah, blah. And then she gets baptized. And I'm like, what? Like, what is this? Like, honestly. And then this guy got up, and he was sound. He was just like, went to uni with my girlfriend, like, made quite a lot of mistakes. Like, he was into the partying culture, and then he found God, and like you could tell there was something about his life that was different, and I could not get away from that. Like I didn't tell anyone, because why would I? Like I was like had this, I'm all right, even though I clearly wasn't, and like so I didn't tell anyone that I was like thinking about Jesus. I just kind of like kept thinking about Jesus and thinking maybe he's real. How does that change my life? I'm not really sure. And then the church mosaic that my mum went to, I found online that they did basically like an alpha course online. It was called Intro. So it was about like 6 podcasts where it was just them answering questions about Jesus. And I was like, just secretly listened to it in my university bedroom, like just would put it on, just like, I didn't want anyone to know. I was just like secretly listening. And then I remember the day when I was like, right, I am convinced that this is real. And so I, like, my university bedroom was locked. I think I saw, Les Mis was in cinema at the time. I remember seeing that. And again, it was just like God was on me. Like, I was like, went to see that and I was just like, I'm going to cry. Like, all this stuff about grace. I was like, oh my goodness, like, this is so real. So I goes back to my university room. I'd like knelt down. And I just knew that Jesus was there. Like, I just knew that he was in front of me. Like, I could feel his presence. He was just standing up and I knew he was there. I knew he was in front of me. And I had such a, like, mad encounter with Jesus. Like, and I had a picture in my head of, like, this massive gate. Like, I think it was, like, the gates of heaven just opening. And like, I just chose to go in. And I was just like, yes, God, yes. Like, and I remember having another picture of, like, 3 girls. And I don't know if that's like, because my nana's Christian, mum's Christian, I'm Christian. I don't know. But it was just really, really like clear. Like, it was just like, it was amazing. And like, it was so real to me as well. Like, in the middle of it all, I was just like, this is so real. Like, but I was still a mess. I was still anxious. I still was stressing about how I'm going to pass my, like, university degree. Didn't know how it changed my life. Didn't understand that bit.
Right.
Just was like, this is mad and it's happening and I'm just going to go with it.
Wow. Yeah. That's quite it's quite a fascinating story. There's a lot in there, Beth. I'm really curious, when you were listening to the podcast from the church, you said you were in your room and you were listening to it, but you didn't want anybody to know.
No.
Why was that?
I don't know. I think maybe, I don't know. I think maybe I was worried about what they would think of me, because that was a thing for me anyway. I was like so wrapped up in people pleasing. And this was like me doing what I wanted. This was me choosing my own path. And like, I'd never really done that up until that point. I had in a little bit of ways, like, I really like English literature and language, and that's what I wanted to study. So, and I loved my degree, but I think it was just like the first time where actually I could face loads of rejection, but I wanted it and I wanted to choose my own path in that way. But it was mad. Like, I remember I didn't tell my mum, and I went to my mum's church it was like all January 2013, but I never remember which bit happened when, because I was still ill and I was still like struggling with stuff. So about January 2013, somewhere in this, like, I think I had given my life to Jesus, and I went to Mosaic, my mum's church, and I didn't want anyone to know. Like, I don't know why. I'm like, but again, God was so on to me. Like, he sat me in front of a person that had glandular fever. Like, get that? Like, had glandular fever. Like, and like, she had a picture for me of like an ironing out a tie and ironing out all the creases in my life. And I was like, ah. And then the service, I don't even know what it was, but I just remember I wanted to cry the whole time. And then my mum was bawling, and I told her, and she just felt like, she was like, I felt like I had those tears for you. Like, I had your tears. I felt like God said I had your tears, because I was just like, I'm not going to cry in front of people. Why would I do that?
Wow.
Like, I was just very like, don't want anyone to know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your mum sounds like an absolute legend in all of this. And, go Beth's mum. Wait. That's awesome. So you go to Mosaic. which is the word you're saying, mosaic.
Oh yeah, mosaic.
Mosaic the church. And this is a church in Leeds, which is obviously your mum's church, and you have more encounters with God. And so, but at this point, you're still struggling with glandular fever. So did that carry on for a while? What happened sort of next?
So the person that I told you about who sat in front of me, she was called Laura. She had glandular fever, and we just made a friendship, and she helped me through. She was like, she just really helped me understand, like, okay, this is what, if I were you, this is what I do about university. This is what I do about this situation. This is what I do about this situation in relation to glandular fever. She really helped me, like, make a plan to get through. Then when I went back to Liverpool, I kind of had that little plan. And I was like, I'm going to find a church. Now, I had done some Facebook stalking. So I knew a Christian. And I also done some Googling, because Mosaic at the time, so actually it was just, the first time I went to Mosaic, it was a big warehouse church. And then in 2013, I think that's when they split into 3 churches. And the one that my mum still goes to now, is in a school. But I really liked the kind of big warehouse vibe. So I did a bit of Googling about, I wanted to go to a church like Mosaic, but in Liverpool. It's like my uni story all over again.
Yeah.
Just like Leeds, but in Liverpool.
Yeah.
So, I found Frontline Church in Coventry, and because one of my high school friends went there, and it was amazing. Like, I remember going there on the morning. I remember the preach, like, so I don't remember all the preachers I went to at Mosaic, but I remember going to Frontline. I remember Julie Connolly preaching about spiritual warfare, and it was just like incredible. And I went to the 10:30 service, which was a morning service, very family. And this old man grabbed my shoulder and he was like, "Come back at 6."
Oh, wow.
Okay.
You go to jail for things like that now. Yeah.
My housemates knew nothing. Like, I just secretly did all this. Nobody knew anything. Like, so gets in the taxi again, goes back at 6, walks in, and my friend from high school was there. She grabs me on the shoulder. She's like, "What are you doing here?" And then that was, like, I just cried through the whole service. Exactly the same talk. Julie did again. And I just cried. I just knew that I was home. I'd found, like, I was like, I don't know. It was just incredible. I was just like, I'm home. Like, this is it. Like, and then after that, I started telling people.
So how did it go with your housemates then? The people that you were trying to hide all of this from when you told them?
Yeah, mixed bag, really. Mixed bag. Some people were like, "What's happened in your life? I want to know." Some people were like, "This is weird. Don't want to know." So it was a really weird time. And I think that time of your life is weird anyway. The last year of uni, who are you going to keep in touch with?
Yeah.
Like, where are you going to live? Because that affects things, doesn't it? Like, different people then move to do masters, to go back home to their hometown, to do gap years. Like, so it's really that weird time anyway. And I think that then throwing something like this big life change into it was just a bit like, some people didn't want to know. Some people very kindly didn't want to know, like, kind of like, well, that's a bit weird, but
yeah,
like,
you do you. Leave me out of it.
It wasn't like, I'm going to reject you. It was just kind of, you do you. I'm going this way. You're going that way. Bye. We still love each other. Like, but yeah, there was a fair amount of, like, rejection in there, though. Like, it wasn't easy.
But you start to then get connected to Frontline Church, which is the church where Crowd Church is connected to, actually, Crowd Church came out of Frontline Church. And that's where we met, wasn't it? Going back a long old time ago. So fast forward, however many years it is, what now, 9 years. Has life been all sort of sunshine and rainbows for you? Did you get better of glandular fever? You sort of overcome your people approval thing, and welcome, Will. Beth has arrived.
No, and that is you just summarised what my biggest struggle is, basically, because in my head, that is what is supposed to happen. Like, and so I was a bit like, hey, like, what? Like, life is quite difficult still. And so I think the week after, so I went to Frontline, and I think the week after, or maybe a couple of weeks after, I met my husband. Wasn't then my husband, obviously.
Because that'd just be really weird if he was, yeah.
I met Terry, and I also met you and Sharon on the same day, and a bunch of other cool people as well. It was at your house, I think I met him. Oh, it might. It was. Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, it was the student lunch thing, wasn't it? Or the student
lunch thing. Yeah. So yeah, so it was. In one sense, it was like sunshine and rainbows, because like my whole life had changed, and me and Terry like met and we quickly got married the year after, but the anxiety didn't go. Like, there was a long road to healing with the glandular fever. I didn't get instantly healed. And then I've had other underlying illnesses since, which that's been a big challenge, kind of understanding like, why would a good God let someone suffer? That's been a big question. Why don't my prayers get answered when I'm praying to be healed? That's been a big question. I had Joy, my firstborn, in May 2019, and I pray again, like I expect things to be like sunshine and rainbows. Like, I prayed for this amazing birth. Like, I got this book that like was all about praying for this amazing birth, and it kind of messed me up a bit, because really, like, Jesus promises suffering. Like, he says, what does he say?
You're going to have trouble and persecution. Yeah.
In this world you will suffer, but take heart, I have overcome the world. You will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. And yeah, like, I think it's been just quite a journey of like, I prayed, like with the birth, I prayed for this amazing birth. It didn't happen. It was actually really traumatic, and I really struggled to get my head around that. And I felt like I'd failed. I felt like my faith had failed. I felt like I didn't have enough faith, because the book that I read kind of implied that it was my faith that didn't make it happen.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I was just kind of like, oh, it's my fault. I don't have enough faith. And yeah, just that whole struggle of like, what do you do when there's suffering? What do you do when things don't go, when things are sunshine and rainbows, when things don't go to plan? So yeah.
It's a really interesting statement, because I've not seen it as much in recent times, but certainly there was a period where there was this sort of movement which said, if you have faith, you can move mountains, which is, I get the scriptural reference for that. But it became this thing where actually, if you wanted anything from God, it was all down to your faith. And if you didn't have faith, you wouldn't get it. And if you weren't getting it, therefore, it was because you had weak faith. And whilst that was never said, it was implied. It was implicit in the statement that if you have faith, you can move mountains. And you reverse engineer that. You say, well, if the mountain's not moving, then I've not got faith. And it was a really interesting time, I think, for people, because I think there are times where actually people's unbelief does prevent the movement of God. But I think they're a lot rarer than we think they are in a lot of ways. Do you know what I mean? And so I'm curious, you've obviously haven't gone through that. What are some of the lessons that you've learned as a result of that?
Oh, I don't even know where to start. So if you read my blog, like I've blogged through the whole thing and there's a lot of different lessons on there, because like, yeah, my head was a mess. I was just like, oh, I need to sort this out, because I didn't understand it. Like I was just like, I prayed for this thing to happen. But you know what it is? The biggest lesson I've learned, actually, it's come to me. So I am a feeling person. And, like I've explained what happened in my testimony, like God speaks to me like very clearly through pictures and very clearly through, like, I can hear him, I can feel him, like his presence. Like that's important to me, and that's a gift. But like for me, I felt like I'd failed when I had a traumatic birth. I felt like my faith had failed, that it wasn't good enough, that like, and it was a feeling of like, feeling that I'd failed, feeling like it wasn't good enough, and like I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned is like, know your Bible, because some lies will feel so true. Like some lies will be so crafty. Like the enemy is quite crafty, and he kind of bases it on truth, but then obviously it's not true. And I feel like I've been so susceptible. Is that even a word?
Yeah, it's a good word. Yeah, you should know. You've got the English language degree. But you crack on.
Susceptible to that, because I feel like it was just, like this little, you didn't have enough faith for that. Like so-and-so has enough faith for that. You don't have enough faith for that. Like, and it was just, it felt true. It felt real. But like now, and sometimes it still feels real. And I have to tell myself, that's not true, Beth. That's not true. Like, I know that faith, like as small as a mustard seed, can move mountains. Also, the parable that kept coming to my head throughout this whole time was the one where, some pals have got a friend who needs healing, and they cut the roof open to get him in front of Jesus, and they put him in. This is, the Bible by Beth here.
Bible with Yorkshire accent. That's great. I'm loving it. You keep going.
In the Bible, because there's a bit more.
I wonder, actually, just as a total aside here, I do wonder if there is a Yorkshire version of the Bible. I've seen the Scouse Bible. I'm gonna Google it later. Is there a Yorkshire version of the Bible?
I read an excellent book. On my dad's bookshelf the other week, there was an excellent book about Yorkshire people who had faith, and like honestly, the first page was brilliant. It was like, Yorkshire people have grit, and here, I was like, I love this book.
That's true.
Here's a bunch of Christian people with grit. Like,
yeah, very true.
But yeah, anyway, so in the back, going back to the Bible. So there's a couple of guys. They've got the pal. He needs healing. He's a paralyzed man. They put him down through the roof. Jesus is there, and Jesus heals him, and he forgives his sin as well. I think the other way around. But he looks at the friends and he said, "It's your friend's faith, like, that's healed you." Oh, I really could do with this in front of me. I feel like I'm absolutely ruining this. Sorry. But he talks about their friend's faith, and I kept coming back to that because I was like, my friends were praying for me that whole time. Like, even if I don't have enough faith, I've got like so many friends praying for me that have got more faith than I do. They've got mustard seeds worth, but it didn't happen. And it's because I think, like, we live in a fallen world. Like, one day there will be no sickness, like, and one day Jesus will wipe away every tear. But like here, it's not like that. And like, I think going through what I've been through has definitely, it's made me cling to God in a way that I think just yesterday, like, I did a preach at church, and I was walking home, like, I then went to do some work and at a coffee shop, and I was walking home, and I was just thinking about the preach, and I was thinking, that was mad. Like, God used my most painful moments to reach someone else there. He just, like, he makes everything work together for good. And it's such a privilege to watch him do that in your life. Like, and you don't think that that's ever going to be the case when you're in those painful moments, when you're like dealing with trauma, and you're like, but I didn't pray for this, God. But then if you let him in, like, if you let him, he will just turn the whole thing around. And like, it is amazing to watch, like yesterday, like, I didn't even feel like I was really speaking. Like, I was dead nervous about preaching. And I just shared these stories from really, like, the moments where I was like, God, where are you? What have you done? Like, have you left me? Like, it says you'll heal. Like, surely I've got faith small as a mustard seed. Surely my friends have got faith small as a mustard seed. And like, I was able to share those stories with people and watch those people know more about a God who loves them. And it was just incredible. Like, and someone gave me that verse before I went in to be induced with Joy, my firstborn. So I went in for an induction, and I was really scared. And someone gave me the verse, all things work together for good for those who love God. And I didn't get it then. And like, but that has just been my testimony, like, he's taken like the darkest moments, the worst moments, the most painful moments. And like, I just keep watching him, like, as he turns it around. Like, it's amazing.
Beth, that's awesome. It's not awesome in one sense that you've had to go through what you've gone through, but I think the thing that I've always loved about you is your absolute commitment to be totally transparent, true, and authentic, right? You always know exactly where you're at, because when you say how you're doing, you'll say, "Oh, I'm blah blah blah," right? And I think it's interesting, because part of the problem I think people have had over the years is, you go to church, and church people feel like they have to say, "Oh, life is good." At least it was for a season. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, well, faith talks positive, doesn't it? And so you'd ask some questions, life is good. And so if you were struggling, you could look at somebody and go, well, their life is good. My life is pants. Why am I struggling? Of course, they're asking the same question over there. And it's all masks. There's a lot of masks going on. There's not a lot of authenticity sometimes. That I'm being totally disparaging about the church. But we have had these seasons where we have been too unwilling to actually be truthful about how we feel and the questions that we have for God, because we feel like we can't have them. And so it's great that you did. And it's great that you've sort of wrestled with that over the years. So where are things at now, right? So you going back to the sort of the supernatural childbirth thing that you were praying for and it didn't happen, and that sort of, you felt like you failed God and you felt like your faith failed. When did that turn around in your thinking, and how did it turn around in your thinking?
Well, I owe a lot to your wife, your wonderful wife, Sharon. I remember. So I wrestled with God a lot by myself and was like, what have you done? But also I had a newborn baby. And I have to say that the trauma was traumatic, but then having joy meant that I was able to focus on joy. So I had this moment in the bathroom after it happened where I genuinely just thought, oh my goodness, you idiot, you failed. Like, you nearly killed your baby because you didn't like let them intervene sooner. And you wanted this supernatural childbirth that, like, and I just felt all this condemnation. Like, I remember standing in the bathroom, all this condemnation. You didn't have enough faith that you nearly let this happen. But then I had to cry about it. And then I just cracked on being a mum, because I absolutely love my daughter. And she just brought so much joy to me. She really, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But then lockdown happened in 2020. So she was probably about 10 months, I think. 10 months. And then that's when I really wrestled it out. And I was like, what is going on? And then I got pregnant in 2020. Yeah, I got pregnant in 2020 with my second. And I started getting anxiety attacks. And I was like, what is going on? And I was like, I think I need to deal with this. I need to deal with this trauma. There
were some clues along the way.
No, one thing that I did all the time, so I know a lot about trauma now, but one thing I did all the time was I would talk about birth. I would just talk about birth that whole year and ask people how the births were. I was a bit obsessed with it. And I look back, and that is actually called, is it ruminating? So when you talk about it and you can't get past it, that's actually a symptom of PTSD, of trauma. So, and then I started getting panic attacks because I was pregnant, and it got to 2021. I was like, I'm going to give birth to this child in April, and how am I going to do that? And I remember going to meet a friend who had 2 kids, and she had 2 amazing births, and I just had this little panic attack, and I was like, I need to get over this. I need to do something. So then I rang up, I was talking to Sharon at the time, and that was very, very helpful, incredible. And then a couple of people had mentioned to me that there was this person called Hannah Sloan who went to Frontline, and I should really get in touch with her because she does birth trauma therapy and she's Christian. So I rang her up and I was like, Hannah, this is what's happened to me. Told her about all the feeling like I didn't have enough faith for this perfect birth, feeling like it was my fault. And she was like, right, okay, come see me. So I did sessions with her, and it was incredible. It was really good. Just understanding how trauma works. I think sometimes as Christians, we don't go down, we stay too much down the non-medical route, where Hannah was actually what's happened to you is a thing. It's called PTSD. And these are the symptoms. And I was like, oh, wow, I have those symptoms. She's just like, yeah, I think you've got it, And And like, I think as Christians, sometimes we think we're immune to these things. Like, it's just a spiritual thing that we're going through or whatever. But actually, like, I had PTSD. And like within those 4 sessions, the main symptoms were no more. And it was just the thing that I was left with was just like me and God and working that bit out, like, so where do we go from here, God? Like, because I wasn't really praying a lot when Joy was born. I remember actually talking to my pastor and being like, I'm not praying a lot. Like, I can't. And I didn't really put it all down to the trauma, but yeah, it kind of worked itself out. I got some therapy, spoke a lot to Sharon, like weekly, I think, and just had some support, and just kind of watched through that and was just asking God questions all the time, and I think I've come out of it like the other end. I feel.
So what happened? Was all this?
Oh, Judah.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you obviously had a second child. So how did that birth go?
So I got to a place where I think this is what happened. I got to a place where in the last session, Hannah was like, "What do you want to do?" So we planned for each eventuality of giving birth, like, and I got a debrief as well with my midwife. And she was literally like, "Bethy, you did amazing. You like went to 9 centimeters with no, I don't know, medication or whatever, just gas and air. And the baby was stuck. Your baby was back to back, and apparently back to back babies are more painful. But she didn't move. She literally didn't move. And on my notes, there's a picture of her head as soon as the midwife had drawn her head as soon as I'd gone in, because they suspected that she was in a funny position. And that was like as soon as I went in, she never moved. Like, so you just like look back and you're just like, she wasn't going to move. She wasn't ever, like she was stuck. Like, of course I was going to end up in a C-section. Like, and so that gave me clarity. And then speaking to Hannah really helped me. We had like, this is what happened. So we had loads of different options, and I decided to try for a VBAC, so a natural birth after cesarean. I hate the word natural, but like, that's what we're going with. So I was like, I'm going to try for that. And it was just really, I got to a place where even if I had another C-section, like, I knew that was okay. I knew that God still loved me. I knew it was all right. And the birth with Judah was incredible. It was really redemptive, actually, because I went into labour naturally. I didn't have to get induced at 39 weeks, 39 plus 3 or something. And it was funny because no one else expected me to. And like, so I was like, I think I had a bit of faith then, like, for this. And I was like, God, I really like that. But, like, I've got to a place where anything could happen and I still love you. And I know you're still going to be with me regardless. And I was told that I was having a girl as well. So I was expecting another girl. And so then the labour happens naturally this time. And then everyone like left me. Like, Kat was supposed to be looking after Joy. She was somewhere. And then Kat's like my best friend. And then Terry was like, I need to go to work if this is going to happen. It's Prince Philip's funeral. And I was just watching Prince Philip's funeral. And then I was like, right, okay. So waited for them to get back. And then I was like, should we go to hospital now? So then went to hospital. I was dehydrated because no one had been feeding me or giving me any drink. Like, I was just fending for myself. And then when I drank, just basically, it was just really surreal. It was really calm, really quiet on the ward. There was one midwife who didn't say a right lot to me. And then all of a sudden she goes, about 9 o'clock, she was like, I think you'll have this baby. 9 o'clock on Sunday morning, she was like, I think you'll have this baby within the hour. And I could not believe it. Like, I remember sitting down and saying to God, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm progressing. I don't know what's happening. I'm really anxious. I'm really stressed right now. Please help me. And he was just like, it's going to be okay. Like, you're going to have this baby. It's going to be okay. Like, and it was just amazing. It was just, I think, like, people want you to think that, like, you can have this terrible birth and then you can have this amazing butterfly birth after it if you go through A, B, C, D experience. But I did the therapy, I did the praying, like, and it wasn't butterflies, but God was so real and he was so there. Like, and Judah popped out and everyone thought, I remember the midwife being like, oh, I've got something to show you. Because he was a boy and they told me he was a girl.
Surprise!
I didn't care. I literally didn't care. I was given the name Judah in the first trimester.
Yeah.
I felt God put that name on my heart because I was watching a preach by Judah Smith, and he was saying about how Leah in the Bible was in this battle with her sister, like comparison war, and then by baby number 4 she gives up and she says, now I'm going to praise God. And I think I was in that place. I was like, do you know what? I'm not battling anymore. I don't care if I've got faith or no faith or whatever, or if that person over there is having a hypnobirth or if that person over there is having a supernatural childbirth, like I will praise God. And like there's a song called Yes I Will by Vertical Worship, I think. And that song was just like the song of Judah. Like it was just, yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Like, yes, I'm going to do this. Like I'm going to praise you no matter what happens. And it was a different kind of faith because, I don't know, it's more grit, like the Yorkshire book.
More grit, Yorkshire. Jesus was a Yorkshireman, is what they tell me.
He was, wasn't he? No, he wasn't.
So, well, I love that it was redemptive. And then actually in the second child, it's one of those things, isn't it? As a Christian, you pray for God's blessing and you pray for what you think is the best. And when that doesn't happen, how you respond is quite interesting. And I love the difference between the first one and the second one. So the first one, you pray for something and you feel all kinds of failure as a result. The second time, it's like, well, I'm going to pray for this, but I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to praise you anyway, because God, I'm in your hands. And actually, that's quite an extraordinary journey to take. It takes people years sometimes to, do you know what I mean? To sort of figure that whole thing out as a Christian. So what's your, out of all of this then, Beth, you know, what's been your take? What's your one message? I mean, you spoke at church yesterday. I don't know if they gave you a topic or whether you sat down and thought, oh, this will be the, you know, what I would talk about. What's the thing, the overriding thing that God has taught you?
Oh gosh, I think, like some of the stuff that I've been talking about really just like, I think do you know what it is? Like my blog is a lot about hearing God and like, you know, stay close to him, hear him, like listen to what he's got to say to you. Like he is the best friend you could ever wish for, you know, like he's always been there. He's always got something to say to me about everything. And like the points that I've struggled is the points where I've like pushed him out a bit and like kept him at arm's length. Like, but actually, you know, like he understood, like he understood that I was upset about the birth trauma. He knew what I was going through, knew what I needed. Like, and I think hearing God for yourself and, knowing your Bible and like not going with those feelings and not going with what other people tell you, but just having your own faith and walking that journey with God is like so important. I love to hear people like get God for themselves, you know, like hearing for themselves, like I think it's really like crucial.
That's awesome. So is that, if you could somehow magically go back in time and have a conversation with yourself as you're heading into hospital with to give birth to Joy, is that the advice that you would give to yourself at that point?
Yeah, I'd just be like, Beth, like, be careful what you believe. Like, close to God, stay close to God, like, and don't read a book about God and think it's God. Like, you know, like, there's loads of books out there that say they're about God and maybe they're about one person's version of God. Like, who's your God? Who is your God? Stay close to him, because the God of the Bible, like the God that I met when I was in that room in university, like he's the one that's been faithful to me. And I think it's so important to have your own faith and to not get stuck in a bit of a comparison and not just absorb everything you read. I think I'm a bit easily influenced sometimes.
It's not just you, to be. I think here's the thing about books, right? And the thing that I've noticed about books when you read them is, especially Christian books or testimonial books, as we like to call it, but story books, they're always inspiring because there's these amazing stories, amazing journeys that people go on, and they talk about how God did this and this breakthrough happened and that happened, and it's all fantastic and wonderful. But between those two mountain points, this happened, it was amazing. This happened, it was amazing. There's often big valleys and times of just utter boredom.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's just the everyday grind of life. But you don't write about those in books because there's not enough space. You don't know what to say. You just want to tell the stories to encourage people. And it's like, well, yes, this is my story, and I want to encourage you. It's why we do these podcasts. But it's the rest of it, that we don't get to hear about. And when we just compare our lives, where 80% of it is boring, 80% of it is routine, to all these amazing stories that people have over here, we can come across or some come off feeling quite bad. And that's the danger of books. And I think as long as when we read a book, we understand that, we're okay. And what you say, what is God saying to me throughout this whole thing is probably the biggest question to ask, right?
Yeah, that is the biggest question. And that is the question I ask before I blog all the time. I'm like, God, what are you saying to me this week? And I think if I could inspire people to say that question for themselves, like that is what I want. That's who I want to be. That's what I want, the message I want to say. Like, because I think that, if you know him as your friend, like that is one of the biggest things that changed my life, just knowing him as a friend. Like, and when you are reading a book, like, ask him what he thinks about it. Don't just read it and be like, even if it's a really good book and like the person is sound and they've got really good theology, like still ask him what he thinks about it, because that makes stuff go from just reading it to actually being like, oh, I'm gonna understand it for myself. I'm gonna like let it go in for myself.
Yeah. What does this mean for me, God? What are you saying to me? Yeah. It's a really interesting thing. I wish I had time to get into it a little bit more, but there's so much more to say on this. Beth, question for you. Oh, someone's at the door. Imagine you are at the Oscars, right?
Yeah.
And you've just won your Lifetime Achievement Award, whatever it is, and you get a moment to thank those folks that have had a big impact on your life, whether family members, mentors, authors, preachers, books, whatever it is. I'm curious, who are you thanking? Who you stood up and saying, I want to thank ... and why?
Well, I think I've mentioned a few of them, haven't I? Like, so obviously praying mums out there. Like, my story started with a praying mum, so don't give up. Like, my mum is amazing. My dad became Christian soon after I did. He's always been amazing. But like you and Sharon, absolutely. Like, I was thinking about this recently. Like, you literally, like, I don't know anyone. I remember being in your house, Matt, and like, you just let me be, like, and I didn't really know who I was. I was messed up. I was broken. I was lost. And like, you didn't need anything from me. You didn't want anything from me. Like, you guys just love me. And like, I've never experienced anything like it in my life. And you have been there since, I feel like I could cry, since day one. And like, you've never given up on me or Terry. Like, you've always loved us. You've always like shown us such grace. And like, sometimes you show me grace and I'm like, it's literally mind blowing. Like, I'm like, Terry, look what's just happened. Like, oh, look what Matt's just said. Like, oh, listen to what Sharon did today. Or like, and I think, you'd get a massive thank you, both of you, because you have changed our lives. And I'm not just saying that because you do this podcast. Like,
yeah. Because you're the podcast host. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Beth, bless you. No, it's wonderful. It's very kind of you to say.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah. And then there's loads of other people on the way, isn't it? Like, community is very important. And I'm very, very fortunate to be part of a really good community.
Yeah. And your husband, obviously.
Yeah.
And your kids. You're the usual.
Gosh, that's so bad. Can we do this? No.
He's never going to let you live it down.
No, he's not. He actually won't let me live it down. He's just going to be like, I can't believe you didn't thank me on the podcast.
Well, now's your time to say, that you actually...
Thank you so much, Terry, for being with me through thick and thin.
Yeah,
I think me and Terry have been on like quite a journey where we've been through stuff together. So, it's a different kind of thank you, isn't it? Like, obviously, it's still a thank you, but like...
Yeah, it's your life partner, isn't it? And I think you and Terry are just wonderful people. It's great to have you on the podcast. So thank you for joining us, Beth. Thank you for sharing your story. If people want to reach out, if people want to connect with you, what's the best way to do that?
Well, you can read all of what I've just said on my blog, bethcoppenhall.com. You can read some moments of being like, why God? And also some moments of being like, wow, God did this amazing thing. And I think you can contact me on there as well. Yeah,
no, bethcoppenhall.com. Do check it out. Very inspiring blog, and it's you do get sucked into the emotion of it all. Beth is a very good writer. So, yes, Beth, thank you so much for joining us. You've been an absolute legend. I'm looking forward to seeing what people say as a result of this coming out, and who listens to it. So we will, of course, link to Beth's info in the show notes, which you can get for free, along with the transcript at crowd.church, www.crowd.church. Or if you sign up to the newsletter, it will come direct to your inbox. If you're not signed up to the newsletter, sign up to the newsletter. Hashtag the same. So there you have it. Another fantastic conversation. Another huge, brilliant, wonderful story. Beth, again, thank you for joining me. Now, remember to check out Crowd Online Church at www.crowd.church. You know the domain now. Even if you might not see the point of church. Crowd is a digital church, an online church on a quest to discover how Jesus helps us live a more meaningful life. We are a community, a space to explore the Christian faith, and a place where you can contribute and grow. And you are welcome at Crowd Church. Be sure to subscribe to What's the Story wherever you get your podcasts from, because we've got some great stories lined up, and I do not want you to miss any of them. And in case no one has told you yet today, dear listener, viewer, you are awesome. Yes, you are. It's just a burden you have to bear. Beth has to bear it. I have to bear it. We're just awesome. It's the way God made us. Fearfully and wonderfully made. Now, What's the Story is produced by Crowd Online Church. You can find our entire archive of episodes on your favorite podcast app. The team that makes this show possible is Sadaf Bainon, Josh Catchpole, Estella Robin, and Tim Johnson. Our theme song was written by the amazingly talented Josh Edmondson. And if you would like to read the transcript or show notes, as I said, head over to www.crowd.church, where you can also sign up for our weekly newsletter and get all of this good stuff direct to your inbox totally for free. That's it from me. That's it from Beth. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a fantastic week. Bye for now.